All right, Antonio, count them down.
Ready, go.
I believe Andrew Jackson was the worst president America's ever had because he misused his powers under Article 2. According to Article 2 of the Constitution, the president does not have unlimited power and cannot just make or break the laws without the approval from the Senate. Even though the purpose of Article 2 is to limit control any one person has, Jackson went directly against that and took control of New Orleans like a dictator and held that control with a firm grip even 3 months after the war against Britain had ended. Jackson also went directly against the Article 2 to power limiting by just going directly against a court ruling. Article 2 points. Andrew Jackson ineffectively uses executive power in the following 3 ways. He threatened to behead his vice president just because he didn't like him. During his presidency, he took control of New Orleans and refused to let go of it until 3 months after the war against Britain had ended. And he completely ignored a Supreme Court ruling that tried to stop him from taking natives' land and their gold. And Jackson just said that if John Marshall, who was the judge at the time, had made a ruling that he truly believed in, he should have to defend it himself. And this meant that he would just squat on their land and dig up their gold and ruin the land pretty much before he finally decided to leave on his own or be forced to leave. He also was a murderer. He had participated in many duels and had killed many people. He'd also been shot a couple times himself.
Okay, you move fast today, Antonio.
Wait, what?
I can.
No, I got it. We're good.
We're doing it.
Go.
We're doing it. What? I'm going?
Yeah, go.
What?
Go.
Okay. So I know that Ronald Reagan was the worst president according to Article 2 powers. According to Article 2, a president should not misuse, abuse, or ineffectively use his Article 2 powers. He ineffectively and misused and abused his Article 2 powers in 3 ways. First, he claimed a war on drugs. As a result, many African Americans ended up in prison because 80% of crack users were African American, and it was profiled as a racist institution. Also, it wasted $1.7 billion. This is according to Encyclopedia Britannica. Quote, since approximately 80% of crack users were African American, mandatory minimums led to an unequal increase of incarceration rates for nonviolent black drug offenders, as well as claims that the war on drugs was a racist institution. Second, he repealed a law that disinstitutionalized mentally ill people. Many people became homeless and remain homeless to this day. This is according to psu.edu. What Reagan is not readily known for is the long-term effect of a law he repealed that essentially deinstitutionalized mentally ill patients at the federal level, Roberts 2013. Third, he sold weapons to Iran illegally. As a result, he increased terrorist factions in the Middle East. This was an illegal act, and he probably should have been impeached for it. This is according to PBS.org. In spite of the embargo against selling arms to Iran, McFarland explained that the sale of arms would not only improve U.S. relations with Iran, but might in turn lead to improved relations with Lebanon. This also shows that this president was easily influenced by enemies, by people in government.
Yeah, 10 seconds. Okay, Antonio, you got it?
Oh, cross-eyes. We gotta stand up, man.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, ready? Go.
Without looking at your sheets, can you define institutionalized?
Institutionalized? Well, no.
Again, without looking at your sheet, can you define repealed?
Repealed, it means that he, it means that he,
Nope, not looking at your sheet.
I'm not, repealed means that he made that law not a thing anymore, essentially.
Okay. And
I gotta go get these.
again, without looking at your sheet, can you define impeach and what it means?
Impeached means that a president is put out of office because of a law he broke, because he did something illegally.
Okay. And so you said that he was arresting people that were doing drugs. So did you say that, do you mean that arresting illegal drug addicts is bad?
It is bad. They should be put in a rehabilitation center. They shouldn't be put in prison. That only makes it worse.
Not if they get cut off from their drugs.
That might work out badly for them.
It could.
Yeah, except
Why not?
think about it. Rehabilitation center means that they can go back to their families, they can live a normal life again, and they don't have to go to prison and get that on their record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But rehabilitation also kind of keeps them there and will get them.
Also, in the War of 1812, where he stayed in New Orleans after he defeated the English, that's a show of his commitment to his country. He was not dictating New Orleans, he was trying to keep it safe.
Wait, where did New Orleans come from?
You said Yeah.
Yeah.
Other side of cross X.
Cross.
Rowan, you're up. Rowan, go.
Oh, okay. Also, weren't economics not, this is an economics thing. Didn't he, also bring the U.S. out of debt, which is, productive use of his powers?
He might have.
Might have?
I don't know.
Also, he did well as president in a polarizing political climate, correct?
Maybe. What? Your questions are phrased in a kind of weird way.
Okay.
Keep going.
And also, why is fighting in the War of 1812, how was that a bad thing in New Orleans? Why was that a bad thing?
I didn't say that fighting in the war was a bad thing.
How was it a bad thing? He kept New Orleans safe from the British, correct?
He took control of it.
And saved it from the British. Do you want the British to take over New Orleans? Wouldn't that have been bad for the country? And also, the Native Americans, correct? Why did that matter to our country? He was helping our country by, like, squatting and, quote, stealing their gold. He was helping our country. It doesn't matter what they were doing. It was our country, right?
They are a part of our country.
Yeah,
They're the
except
first people here, dude.
they are a part of our country. Our country was created. We created our country. They weren't part of the country. They weren't. We created our country based on just white Europeans, correct?
I'm so glad that this is getting filmed.
Okay, you're gonna leave your
Okay, are we going again?
Yeah. You're gonna let your
Now?
Yeah.
Okay. Andrew Jackson was very bad for the economy. He caused the Panic of 1837. The Panic of 1837 was an economic recession that lasted nearly 10 years. The Panic of 1837 caused unemployment rates and prices to go up while profits and wages went down. The best combination of that is when profits and wages go up and unemployment goes down.